Welcome to KMC once again. Today we're meeting here for a very short time. As you all are aware that the council has a project called the Carnifing Environmental Transformation Program, okay? That is being sponsored or funded by the European Union. And part of the components of the project is a community radio. Today we are gathered here to inform the public about developments with regards to the community radio. We feel it's a responsibility to do that at every level, and that is why we invited members of the press. This is why we invited the members of the press to ensure that the public is kept informed. Without wasting much time, I want to recognize the presence of members of parliament within the municipality, officials of the KEPT project, and officials of the council, and other invited guests here present to witness this important press conference. I now want to call on the project manager of the KEPT project, Mr. Lamin Sanya, to give a brief statement as to why we converge here this morning.
Good morning to our distinguished personalities, the press. We regret to announce that the inauguration of the radio station, the People's Radio, has been cancelled due to the fact that we have received a communication from the PURA, Public Utility Regulation Authority, informing us that we cannot inaugurate simply because we don't have operational license. That being the case, the project team cancelled the inaugurations. We would like to thank everybody who have come over to grace the occasions with us. We also want to thank the EU for providing us the funding, and also the partners, Peterborough City Council, an opportunity, Peterborough, for collaborating with the councils and the project team, to ensure that we are able to procure the radio equipment and then contract it out to the contractor to fix it, and then he was able to do it on time. We would also like to thank the leadership, under the dynamic leadership of the Lord Mayor and the management and the General Council, who have provided us of the facility, the building facility. The project is just only to install equipment and the radio materials, but under the dynamic leadership of the Lord Mayor, they have provided us the building that we have renovated to ensure that the equipment are fixed for the radio to be operational. People's Radio, the ultimate objective is to promote sustainable living. That's why we are able to continue to ensure that the infrastructure is put in place. Our initial objective is to inaugurate and hand over the keys to the Carnifing Municipal Council as a project, and the KMC will continue following up the operational license from the Ministry of Information. We were informed that there is a general embargo on operational license, and that being the case, we will not be able to inaugurate the radio station today. But however, we will want to invite the media to go inside and then inspect the facilities. With me, I have the director of the project, who is also going to shed some lights on what actually has happened. Mr. Director.
For clearing some of the issues that we wanted the public to know. And that is why we gathered here this morning to ensure that the right information is delivered to the people. Next on the agenda would be we'll invite members of the press and get into the studio for inspection.
When we applied in July, we went through the process from the Bureau to the Minister of Information. And at the Minister of Information, we were informed that there is a general embargo on the operational license. Then from there, we had to stop. Yeah, thank you very much. As I said earlier on, the radio is to promote sustainable living. KMC, when we were conceptualizing the project, we have an understanding that there is still a gap in order to better effectively communicate with the residents of this municipality. And then one of our key challenges is environmental sanitation. We felt it is important that we have our own radio stations where we can sensitize and educate the residents of this municipality on environmental issues. Yes, we have provided a fleet of vehicles to collect. We have provided collection mechanisms, but yet still the attitudinal change is still very lacking. So the waste management strategy, the first pillar of the waste management strategy is about information, education, and communication in order to change the mindset of the people. So we felt in order to implement or achieve this pillar of our waste management strategy, we ought to have a radio station. That decision is now left with the council. The project has procured and installed all the equipment of the radio stations. And the council have to decide now whether they are going to wait on the operational license, which I think that's what they are going to do, to wait on the government until they provide them the operational license. But we will continue to explore other avenues out there. Thank you very much.
I think it's not quite the same with this trend. Embargo is different from the access that is empowering the media to have information. With that bill, you can ask questions from anybody in government offices and they cannot deny you. If they deny you, then they are going against a law. But what we are seeing now is a sort of anti-press freedom. We all know that there is an organization in the world that assesses countries' access and freedom of expression and freedom of media annually. So the fact that there is an embargo on expansion of televisions and radios in the Gambia, that is not good for us. That will only put us down the ladder of the press freedom ladder, because countries' press freedom is assessed by the medium that and the way they operate. So now if we are putting an embargo on expansion of mediums like radios and televisions for the past 2 years, and you have a beautiful complex like this, the People's FM, among many others that cannot have their airways from government, that is really very disappointing. But since it's an embargo, people should be able to find ways around it. As a member of parliament, yes, I can do my own investigations and find out the reasons why, either by posing a question directly to the minister responsible or walk into the offices and find out what is responsible. But what I can tell you is I completely disagree with the embargo. It is not telling well on our record worldwide. And I have no doubt that in 2023, when the rate comes out, Gambia will really fall below the standard. It has never come to my attention, so I have not taken any measures against it, like I told you. I know there's an embargo. There are people who are interested in opening the radio stations and television stations, and they are faced by the embargo from Pura. But now it's becoming very alarming now. I think all of us are stakeholders, and we all have to do something about it, from the point of parliament and from civil society, and also the umbrella organization of media in this country, Gambia Press Union. I think we should all collectively take this as a matter of urgency, so that the country's press freedom cannot be tampered by people who want to trample on people's rights. This is also against people's right. People have right to information and different information for that matter. If selection or limitation is done to the mediums, then that they are really trampling on people's right. And I think it should also be a matter for the National Human Rights Commission, because this is a rights issue. So it should be the business of everybody to make sure that this uncalled for embargo should come to an end now. Certainly, I will do that. Way back in 6 years ago, when I took my oath in the National Assembly, I said, yes, my first constituency is Serekunda West, but my second constituency is the media. As you all know, I am part and parcel of the media, and I will always push the agenda of media. In 2 days' time, the session, this budget session will wrap up, and usually it wraps up with adjournment debates. There may not be any opportunity of asking parliamentary questions, but then adjournment debates are available that members can talk about any issue, and relevant ministries have to be present to respond to those calls. So certainly, come Thursday, if I take the floor of National Assembly, I will definitely talk about it.